Welcome to The Productive Entrepreneur, where experts offer their tips for working smarter and accomplishing more in less time. Today's guest is Elizabeth Feraren. Elizabeth is the founder and owner of Feraren Freelance, a content creation business focused on web copywriting and blogging services. As a content strategist, Elizabeth enjoys blending her marketing expertise with relatable copy to create websites that convert visitors to customers. Her passion for writing prompted her to take the leap from employee to business owner, and in just 5 months, she nurtured her business to bring in a full-time income. Elizabeth currently resides in Davis, California with her wife and 2 dogs. Thank you so much for being with me, Elizabeth. I'm thrilled to have you.
I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Tell me something about your business that's not in your bio.
It's just me. Sometimes I get messages asking if I'm hiring or if I utilize the services of other writers, and it is a one-man show. I am the only freelancer. I'm the business owner. I handle marketing. I handle everything. So yeah, it's just me, but I like it that way. I'm very independent and I'm a perfectionist, so I prefer to do things myself.
How do you keep everything straight if it's just you?
I love QuickBooks for finances. It's awesome because I can, create invoices super easily and then send them directly to my clients and then have people pay through there. So that's kind of like my one-stop shop for finances and keeping track of, tax info and payments and all of that. I use QuickBooks. Email's great for communication. I love social media, especially for prospecting. I just try to keep things really simple. I try not to use too many different platforms because then it's just too overwhelming. You have too many eggs in too many different baskets. So yeah, email, QuickBooks, social media, that's pretty much how I stay organized.
Do you use any specific apps to keep things straight?
I do have, it's a super simple app and it's not specifically for businesses, but I do have a to-do list app called Wunderlist, which I love. You can create different folders of to-do lists. So you could have one themed for everyday activities, finances, business. So I'll keep track of everything that I have due, projects I'm working on. I try to set goals for how many cold pitches I send every week. So yeah, I keep everything straight in a list. You just add it all in there and it makes a really satisfying little ding noise when you check it off too. So I love that. Yeah, Wunderlist is awesome. That's kind of what helps keep me on track with things.
Have you tried any similar apps and not liked things, or is that the only one you've tried?
I tried using Google calendar reminders. And for me, it just wasn't as effective because I would get notifications about it, but there wasn't a way for me to see everything really lined up. Plus, I just really like that little dinging noise because it's kind of like validation. Yeah, I finished something, it's done. So yeah, I just really like how simple it is. You can have everything laid out right in front of you and see exactly how much you have to get done. And you feel super accomplished when you finish a list, so.
Do you use any file apps or software that you would file things in?
I sometimes utilize Google Drive. I've noticed that a lot of clients I've worked with have Gmail accounts, so sometimes it's easier for me to send things to them or share large files if I use Google Drive. So that's also great for collaboration. So if your client wants to view what you're working on, sometimes I'll have a copy of what I'm writing in Google Drive so that they have access to reading it, see how I'm doing, see if there's anything they want to add or that they want me to change. And that's really easy too. I love Google products just because all the apps are in one place, so if you have an email, it's all online. You don't have to download a bunch of stuff and have it clogging up your computer. So yeah, Google Drive is a huge lifesaver.
If you're using Gmail, do you use extensions?
Because I write all the time, I have Grammarly, and that's embedded into my web browser, and I have the app on my desktop as well. So whenever I'm writing emails, whenever I'm writing content, it's always checking, to see if I've made any slip ups. And that's a huge lifesaver, especially when you have a lot of writing to do, because it doesn't matter how great a writer you are, how much experience you have. Everybody makes mistakes. There's always typos. So that's super helpful. I love Grammarly. It's been such a lifesaver.
That's a good one. What about email? Do you keep your email at 0?
Yeah, I try to keep it really filtered. So I do get LinkedIn notifications, but that goes straight to my trash. I just use my phone for notifications. I try to keep my inbox just direct communication with me and a client. And I'll just star the ones that are super urgent or that I want to save. But yeah, I try to clean out my inbox every day just to make sure it doesn't get cluttered and it's easy for me to view. And I check it 3 times a day. So I don't usually have anything piling up.
So you don't check it all day long either?
No, I'm not on my phone all the time. I try to limit myself, that is one of the drawbacks of being a remote worker and having an online business. You are on social media and on your phone a lot. So it's all about organizing your time and trying to, streamline it and not give yourself so much to do that you're just glued to your phone all the time, because I don't know, that can be tiring and impersonal. And so I just try to have 3 times a day, morning, during lunch, and then before I go to bed, I check my email and I go through it.
When you're writing, how do you maintain focus?
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, I think passion is a huge thing. Sometimes I'll get questions from people who are interested in becoming freelance writers, and after having a little bit more of a conversation with them, I discover that they're more interested in the paycheck and the freedom, which is great. It's great to want to be your own boss. It's great to want to have your own schedule. But if you're not really passionate about writing, it's going to be virtually impossible for you to succeed. Because it's time consuming. There are times when you have writer's block and you just don't know what to write. So passion is really important. If I have a topic or a blog post that I'm really interested in, and I did say that I try not to limit myself to a niche, but if I am working with a client that's focused on something I'm interested in, it makes it a lot easier for me to brainstorm content ideas and to stay focused on my writing, because then I'm genuinely interested in what I'm writing about. So that's a big thing. If you're bored with the topic, if you don't really like writing, it's hard to focus. But I also like listening to classical music too. It helps me stay really focused. And yeah, that's a great strategy. Spotify is awesome.
Do you get a lot of phone calls or just email?
I don't get direct phone calls because I haven't posted my phone number on my site or on my LinkedIn, just because it is my personal phone number. So I try not to give it out unless people are, super serious. But I do give it to clients. So if I've prospected someone or someone's contacted me and said that they're interested in my services, we usually do set up either a Skype call or a Google Hangout, or they'll call me directly on my phone and we'll talk. But I don't give it out unless, I think they're serious.
What project manager do you use?
I don't really use a project managing app. I'm really a stickler for how I do things. And like I said, I'm a perfectionist, so I want to be able to have control over it. And there's just something about, I don't know, maybe I'll start using one as I, continue to evolve. But honestly, good old fashioned pen and paper and spreadsheets are great. I love Excel. So I have a spreadsheet for all my prospecting. So emails or people that I'm interested in pitching to or that I've had a discussion with. And then I have another spreadsheet that's full of projects that I'm currently working on, deadlines, how much I'm charging, stuff like that. And the spreadsheet is really simple and it's not an app, but it's great because then you have everything all on one plane and you can see it all together. So that just helps me visually to have it all on one screen, so I know exactly what's going on. Yeah.
You created the spreadsheets?
I do. Yeah. It's labor intensive so yeah, don't do that if you're not interested in, taking the time. But I enjoy that because it really helps me. Taking that time helps me to keep track of everything. But yeah, it doesn't work for everybody. So, you might try it and think, wow, this sucks. I need to try a project manager. But that's just me. I like taking that time because it really helps me to keep it all straight in my head.
How do you manage all your social media?
By not having too many. Pretty much the only social media account that I dedicate solely to my job is LinkedIn. And that's just because it's everything that I need, really. Everyone's, for the most part, really professional, and I've met some really awesome people. It's a great way to network. It's just kind of the whole package. I deleted my Facebook because I got really tired of maintaining it. I'm sure I'll go back to it eventually and only use it for work. But for right now, I don't have a Facebook. My Instagram is pretty much personal, although I do talk to clients sometimes, or people will contact me on there, but that's pretty rare. Yeah, I just try to limit myself. Sometimes less is more. I think a lot of people think that it's super important to be on every single platform. And depending on what you do, that can be important. YouTube is great if you want to create video content. But for me, so far, LinkedIn has worked really well, and it's just been really fruitful for me. So I don't really have any motivation to change for right now. I'm sure I'll expand eventually, but for right now, it's pretty much just LinkedIn for my job.
What one purchase in the last 6 months has changed what you're doing or changed your work life?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay. It doesn't take a huge investment to become a freelance copywriter, but I always tell people who are interested in starting, it's really important to have your own website and to invest in a package that includes a domain. It's not super expensive. I think I spent maybe $120 for a year subscription I use Wix to create my website. And it is so worth it because when you invest in that package, you get a free domain for an entire year. You can customize your website to do anything and everything you need. You can have a portfolio, a blog, messaging. And mine's really simple right now, but there's just so many options. And so I highly, highly recommend to anyone who's interested in freelancing, you need a website. You need to have a place that showcases your work. If you don't have any writing samples, maintain a blog, because then people will see how you write, and that's really all a portfolio is for anyway. So yeah, that investment by far the most successful and important one that I've made.
How long have you been doing what you do, and how did you get started?
I did some freelance gigs on the side a year ago, but I didn't really dedicate my time to it until about 5 months ago. And that's when I started Feraren freelance, and I invested in my website, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a full-time income. I'm going to, really hit the ground running. So yeah, that's when I really started working really hard every day and investing my time into prospecting and stuff. And I started because I just love writing. I've always loved writing. I write all the time, and I wrote all the time before I started, and I figured, why not get paid for it? So yeah, and I also just love the freedom that I'm a really creative person. So I like having that flexibility of schedule and timing, and I'm my own boss, which is great. I feel super empowered, and it's just a really awesome position for me to be in. So my passion for writing definitely was the main driver, but having that kind of freedom is a huge bonus as well.
What did you do before?
Well, I'm a full-time student, so I'm doing that as well as, expanding my business. Very busy as a result, but I like being busy. I did content creation for a couple businesses. I worked at a real estate office. I worked for a coffee shop. So I was doing some content work before then, but it was as an employee and not as my own boss. So I just decided to take that experience and make the leap, and here I am.
What types of businesses or what types of things are you
Oh, yeah.
being paid to write for?
Good question. It's funny, when I first started, people told me, you have to have a niche, you have to have a niche. And that might be true for some people, and I don't want to knock that strategy because it definitely works. But I've never really advertised myself as a specific niche, and I've found a lot of success. I do, advertise some areas that I have expertise in. Like, I love animals, I love pets, I love dogs, so the pet niche is a really good one. I love weddings. I just got married this past year, so I've been, doing a lot of writing for that. Health, wellness, mental health. I'm a psychology major, so that's another interest of mine. But I've also written content for people in the crafting industry, or in marketing, in other writers who needed content for their sites. So I think it's important not to box yourself in too much, because you can learn with research. So if it's an industry that I'm not super familiar with, like telemarketing, I do a lot of research to go with it. But yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I've written for a lot of different industries.
What's next for you?
Oh, well, I'm super excited for 2019 because 2018 was awesome. I feel super motivated. I'm definitely just going to keep expanding, creating more content on LinkedIn. I really enjoy doing that. I've met so many awesome people. I would love to start a LinkedIn local in Sacramento. I guess there isn't one yet. So I would love to do that and maybe get some people interested in starting a meetup for LinkedIn here. But then also just expanding my business, scoring more clients, meeting new connections. I just want to continue what I've been doing and maintain that momentum, and making sure I'm dedicating my time every day to doing that.